Watch this incredible true story of a German pilot who spared a doomed American bomber crew in the skies of World War II, a split-second choice that saved lives, risked execution, and forged an unbreakable bond across enemy lines.
Watch till the end. December 20, 1943.
High above the frozen fields of Nazi Germany, a lone American B-17 bomber limps through the sky like a wounded bird.
Its name, Ye Olde Pub.
One engine is dead, another coughing black smoke. The tail is shredded, the nose blasted open, and inside, 9 terrified young men fight to keep her airborne. They're at 2,000 feet, dangerously low, with no formation, no oxygen, and almost no ammo.
German fighters swarm stragglers like sharks.
This crew knows they're already dead.
Then, out of the clouds, a sleek Messerschmitt Bf 109 pulls alongside. The German pilot locks eyes with the American captain.
His finger hovers over the trigger.
One burst, and it's over. But what happens next defies everything you think you know about war.
The German pilot is Franz Stigler, 28 years old, battle-hardened, and 1 kill away from the Knight's Cross, Germany's highest honor. He's already downed 22 Allied planes.
His superiors are watching.
His country is burning under American bombs. Shooting down this crippled giant would make him a hero. But as he flies wingtip to wingtip, something shifts. Through gaping holes in the B-17's fuselage, he sees the truth: a dead tail gunner slumped over his guns, bloodied crewmen wrapping wounds with frozen fingers, a young pilot barely holding the yoke.
This isn't combat. This is slaughter.
And Franz Stigler makes a choice that could get him shot by his own side. Franz wasn't some bleeding heart pacifist. He was a professional killer with wings.
Born in 1915 in Bavaria, he grew up breathing aviation.
His father flew in World War I.
His uncle too.
By 1939, Franz had thousands of hours as a civilian pilot and instructor. He joined the Luftwaffe in 1940, trained under legends like Gustav Rodel, a man who taught not just dogfighting, but honor. You fight by rules, Rodel drilled into him, to keep your humanity. Franz took it to heart. He flew in North Africa, Sicily, Italy.
Survived being shot down multiple times.
By late 1943, he's defending the fatherland itself. The Americans are bombing cities to rubble.
Every bomber downed is a victory.
But on this day, humanity wins. That morning, the U.S. 8th Air Force launches a massive raid on Bremen's aircraft factories. Ye Olde Pub is part of it, flown by 21-year-old Second Lieutenant Charlie Brown, on his very first mission as pilot.
Disaster strikes immediately. German fighters tear into the formation. Cannon shells rip through Ye Olde Pub. Engine number 2 explodes. Engine number 4 leaks oil.
The oxygen system fails, crewmen gasp in the thin air at 25,000 feet.
Then the tail gunner, Sergeant Hugh Eckenrode, takes a direct hit. He dies instantly. Shrapnel wounds 5 others. The nose is gone.
The tail hangs by threads. Charlie drops the bombs and turns for England, but the bomber falls out of formation.
Alone.
Exposed.
Prey.
At barely 2,000 feet, Ye Olde Pub crawls toward the North Sea. The crew knows more fighters are coming. Their guns are jammed or empty.
They're defenseless.
Meanwhile, Franz Stigler has just landed at Jever Airfield to refuel after a morning patrol.
He's in his cockpit when ground crew shout, "American B-17." Low and slow, right over the field. Franz doesn't hesitate. He throttles up. This should be easy. A sitting duck. One more kill for the Knight's Cross. He closes fast from behind, lines up the shot. Then, standard procedure, pull alongside to confirm the target. That's when everything changes. Through the massive tears in the bomber's skin, Franz sees inside. The tail gunner, dead, blood frozen on his face. A waist gunner tries to stand, collapses.
Another wraps a belt around a bleeding leg. The radio operator stares back, eyes wide with terror.
Franz looks to the cockpit.
Charlie Brown, pale and shaking, fights the controls. their eyes meet across the void.
In that moment, Gustav Rodel's voice echoes in Franz's mind, "You don't shoot a man in a parachute."
These men are no different.
They're already falling. The B-17 can barely fly. Shooting them would be murder. Franz's finger leaves the trigger. Instead of firing, Franz pulls into tight formation, right on the B-17's wing.
Inside ye Olde Pub, panic explodes. "He's going to finish us," someone yells.
Gunners scramble to broken turrets. But Franz doesn't shoot. He waves. Points down, land in Germany. Charlie shakes his head. No way. Captivity means prison camps, maybe death. They'll risk the channel. Franz understands.
Then he does something unthinkable. He moves ahead and slightly to the side, shielding the bomber with his own fighter. German flak guns below track the B-17, but see a Luftwaffe plane flying escort.
Is it a capture? A training flight? They hold fire. Franz is using his own aircraft to protect the enemy. For several agonizing minutes, they fly like this, a German fighter guarding an American bomber over hostile territory. Every second, Franz risks being spotted by his commanders.
If reported, he faces court-martial and execution.
Helping the enemy escape isn't mercy, it's high treason.
But he stays. Over the coast, as they reach the North Sea, Franz pulls close one final time. He looks at Charlie, raises his hand in a crisp military salute, pilot to pilot, then banks away, disappearing into the clouds.
Charlie and his crew watch in stunned silence. An enemy just saved their lives.
Ye Olde Pub limps across the water. Fuel low, controls sluggish, the crew prays. They make it to England, barely, crash landing at a coastal airfield.
Ground crew stare in disbelief. The plane is a flying wreck. It never flies again. Scrapped on the spot. But all 9 surviving crewmen walk away. Franz lands back at base, says nothing.
He logs a routine patrol.
No mention of the B-17. To speak would mean death. He keeps flying combat missions until Germany surrenders in 1945.
He survives, surrenders to the Americans, and in 1953 immigrates to Canada, building a new life as a businessman. Charlie returns to America, finishes the war, becomes a diplomat, and tries to live quietly.
But neither man can forget that day. Charlie orders his crew, "We never speak of this."
If the army knew they were spared by a German, there'd be questions, maybe accusations of collaboration.
Franz carries his secret too. He broke orders, risked everything, to save men he didn't know. For over 40 years, both stay silent. The world moves on.
The Cold War begins.
The men age. But the memory burns.
In 1986, Charlie, now 64, decides to find the German pilot.
He publishes a letter in a fighter pilot's newsletter, December 20, 1943. B-17, badly damaged. German pilot escorted us to safety. Who was he? The letter reaches Canada. Franz Stigler, 71, reads it and knows instantly. He writes back.
In 1990, they meet in a Florida hotel lobby.
Charlie is 68. Franz is 75.
They recognize each other immediately.
No words at first, just a long embrace. Franz confirms every detail.
He speaks of Rodel's code, the dead gunner, the salute. He admits, "I carried guilt for 47 years, not for sparing you, but for all the others I did shoot down."
The two become inseparable.
They travel to air shows, speak to crowds, share the story.
They call weekly. Franz teaches Charlie German phrases. Charlie sends American whiskey. They laugh about the war like old squadron mates. Franz dies in 2008 at 92. Charlie follows 8 months later at 87.
They're buried near each other in the U.S. Before he passed, Franz told reporters, "Sparing that crew was the best thing I ever did." Charlie said, "Franz was the brother I never had." Their friendship proved the humanity they saw in 1943 was real.
This wasn't about politics. It wasn't weakness.
It was a warrior's code, older than nations, stronger than orders.
Franz gained nothing.
He never got his knight's cross.
He risked execution for 10 strangers.
But he kept his soul. The story reveals a hidden truth of WWII's air war. Many pilots, on both sides, saw each other not as monsters, but as men in machines.
Unwritten rules existed. Respect lingered.
Franz and Charlie's bond showed the real enemy wasn't the man in the cockpit, it was the war itself. Thanks for watching.